Good afternoon. My name is Carolina. Thank you so much for reaching out to us about your honeymoon to Tanzania. I would love to show you some ideas that we have for you. I've put together an itinerary and I'm going to share it here on my screen so that you can see it and we can go through it together. And that way you understand everything that I am proposing, what's included, how everything works, and of course, jot down any questions or anything that we need to tweak to make sure that this trip is perfect for you. It is your trip, so let's make sure that it works for your dates and your interests and so forth. So here we go, Tanzania for 2026, and we chose October 9th as your departure date from the United States. Of course, we can still tweak it. Everything on the itinerary is available for these dates, but of course, we can make changes as needed. So usually you will take an overnight flight to the airport of Kilimanjaro, and Tanzania does not require any vaccinations, does not require any crazy documentation. You will need a visa, and that's easy enough to get online as an e-visa. So once you arrive, you go through customs and immigration, pick up your luggage, and my team will be waiting there for you. Private car, private guide, sign with your name on it, and we will take you right to a hotel in Arusha. And that's because after such a long flight, we don't necessarily want to drive many hours. But if you want to skip Arusha and go right to the first national park, that's obviously possible. We just have to keep in mind what time you land. But if you want to rest on that arrival, we have a beautiful place called Hammerkop House. It's perfect luxury little boutique hotel where you can relax, rest, have a gorgeous welcome dinner that we have arranged for you, a romantic turn down for your honeymoon, sparkling wine waiting. We just want to make sure that you get fully rested so that you have that energy into the biggest part of your trip, which is the national parks. So October 11th, when you wake up and you check out, you will meet your ranger. Your ranger is what makes State Adventures trips a little bit different than others. We don't just drop you off at a hotel and have you do game drives with the property, which means different game drives, different cars, different shared experiences with other guests and different rangers every day. We have our private guide join you for the duration of your safari so that even though you're enjoying the luxury properties, every time you go out in the bush on the game drives, you will be in your car that you will now get to know because it will be the same car for you for the whole trip and with the same guide. So he will know what you have seen, what your interests are, what you're looking for. And that way we can scout together and make sure we get everything on that checklist, which is, one of the wonderful parts of a safari to be able to check off all those wonderful animals from your bucket list. So that is how it works. And that's the big part of what's different here. Because it is your honeymoon, I really didn't want you to be in a car with 8 to 10 people, sharing the game drives, changing the cars in the different lodges. So let me go through it and I'll show you how everything else will work. So you will wake up, have breakfast at the Hammerkop house, and then our ranger will meet you and we will go off on our first game drive to the Tarangine National Park. We'll arrive at the lodge around lunchtime. It's about a 3-hour drive. And then, you enjoy the lodge, you enjoy lunch. And then in the afternoon, meet your ranger again and go out and have a proper tour of Tarangine Park. This park is famous for its elephants. Hundreds and hundreds of wonderful elephant families live here. So it's a very exciting way to start an experience in the bush. Now, when you return to the lodge, of course, we will work with the lodge as well to make sure that they create some special experiences for you, such as having sundowners for you for your honeymoon, and maybe a night drive that the lodge will arrange on their property. So that it will be a great combination of private experiences with your ranger, but also taking full advantage of what the lodge has. So at the Tarangine National Park, we chose the Mpingo Ridge Lodge, and that is because the location is just absolutely stunning. It's on the cliffs. It has stunning views for miles and miles. It's a very romantic suite for you. So I think would be a perfect place to start our safari experience. It's not a large lodge. It has 15 rooms, so maximum 30 people will be there. And typically it is for adults, so there's not going to be many families, and that makes it a lot of fun for honeymoons because it's going to be quite romantic. And then on the next day, you will have a combination. So our guides from the lodge can take you on a bushwalk, which means you're walking into the game drives during the day when the big predators are typically sleeping. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to see a predator, because I just returned from an African safari, and we literally were able to walk up to a sleeping cheetah. So it's very, very adrenaline filled to do a bushwalk. And then, of course, your ranger is around, and we'll do game drives and enjoy the Tarangine National Park. We are there for 2 nights. And then the following day, oh, and then of course, I mentioned here the night game drives. We have already arranged those as well for you. And those can only be done in the park by the rangers from the lodge, because that's on their property. And if you're driving after dark on game drives, it needs to be on the private property of the lodge only. So then we go to Karatu, which is a little village in between the Gorogoro crater, in between Lake Manyara. So it's an exciting day because we're going to be getting out of the car a little bit. It's not just, I don't want your honeymoon to just be sitting in a car looking out at the wildlife, but also, immerse yourself in the culture of Tanzania. So we're going to go to Lake Manyara National Park, which I believe I put this picture of it. It's known for its flamingos. And then we're going at the entry to the park are the treetop walkways. So they're hanging bridges. So you'll be able to go and explore those as well. See the park, have a picnic, outdoor lunch in the park, and then arrive at your lodge in Karatu, which is just the entryway to the Ngorongoro crater. It's not in the village itself. It's on a massive coffee plantation. It is one of the most charming places that I know of in Tanzania. I mean, they do such a wonderful job. When they do sundowners at night, they might have a local Maasai warrior come in and tell stories. So it's just a wonderful cultural experience to stay here. And the lodge is very charming. Of course, all your meals are included. Let me touch on that as well. If you see under each day, there's a BLD. That stands for the meals that are included, and essentially everything on your trip is included. So when we're at the Gibbs farm, we're going to do a few things. We're going to go into the village, and in honor of your honeymoon, we will donate some school desks to a local school, which I love to do for all of my clients that visit this area. We're going to have lunch at the lodge and then go into the Gorogoro forest to see waterfalls, to see elephant caves, to go on a little hike, just to have a combination of game drives and exploring the local village. We're also going to, of course, explore the coffee plantation with the Gibbs Farm team and have a wonderful dinner there. You'll learn all about, life in the bush, medicinal purposes of the plants that they grow. Everything has a purpose here in Africa. And I just love these little experiences in between the game drives to kind of break up the sitting in a vehicle. And then we're back. We're back with our ranger. We're leaving Karatu, and we are going to the Gorogoro crater, which to me is paradise, which is one of the most stunning places in Tanzania, because on a typical game drives, you're in a car and it's very wide open spaces. In the crater, you're literally driving into this bowl in the earth that is absolutely filled with so many species of wildlife. So many things are happening. Visibility is fantastic. And of course, the scenery is gorgeous. So a full day experience in the crater, a picnic, breakfast in the crater, with your ranger, and then checking into a Gorogoro crater lodge, which is a tented camp, which is a very luxury tented camp that has just opened this year. We're going to make sure you have such a beautiful spot here for beautiful views of the crater, of the wildlife, and really a rustic kind of experience. Even though you're not roughing it in the lodge, you still are just in the middle of this park, and it's just such a nice place. I also mentioned here for you laundry. So throughout the trip, you will, of course, have all of your game driving gear. Laundry is included at the lodges. So, and I've put that on the description of each lodge so you can go through that. But that means that when you get in that night, you can have your laundry ready by the next morning, or if you leave it in the morning, it'll be ready by the time you come back from the game drive, which helps you not having to pack too much because there are local flights. And I will touch on that. You have a flight leaving at the end of the trip, and those have specific weight restrictions. We can talk about weight restrictions closer to departure. If you need more weight included, that's not a problem. We just have to plan it out with the pilot. But having laundry done every day is such a luxury when you're on safari because you get dusty and things like that. So you want to have fresh clothing. And now on October 16th, this is a 17-day trip. So you're going to be in Africa for almost 3 weeks. On October 16th, we will continue on to our most famous park, and that's the Serengeti National Park. And we will spend quite a few nights here, splitting it between central Serengeti and northern Serengeti. Why do we do that? Because scenery and landscapes are quite different in each part of the Serengeti. And also, we are there in October, which is just the end of the Great Migration in this region. So by allowing visits to both parts of the park, you will have a greater chance of seeing the migration happen. This wonderful experience of seeing thousands and thousands of wildebeest running. And so in between Serengeti and Gorogoro Crater, you will also visit the Cradle of Humanity, which is a fantastic part where they found the oldest skulls in Africa. And there's a museum there and a wonderful explanation of the scientists and what they have discovered here. And you will also visit a Maasai village, an authentic village to get to see what life in the bush is truly like before arriving to your first tented camp, luxury camp in Serengeti in the central part of the park. Still with your ranger, still doing game drives morning and afternoon. This is just one of the villages that we visit and sponsor and make sure that they get to show you a glimpse into their life and you get a chance to make that a part of your visit to Tanzania because it's not just about the wildlife here, it's truly about the wonderful people that live here. And in Serengeti, you will have a hot air balloon safari. So that's another wonderful experience to take in while in the Serengeti. And then switching to the northern part, we will be at Kuria Hills, which is another fantastic tented camp. Small properties, very intimate, which means everyone will know your name, which means the service is spectacular. The food on the safari in Tanzania is spectacular. So that is really a wonderful place for honeymoons because they take care of so many details and make things so romantic and special. So after 4 nights in Serengeti, we will have our final dinner under the stars. We will arrange it for you to say goodbye to the bush that way. And on October 20th, we are leaving the bush and heading to the beach. So we will take you to the airstrip and fly to Zanzibar. And on Zanzibar, we will take you to lunch upon arrival so you can check out Stone Town and then continue to your resort. Zanzibar is a fantastic tropical island, blue waters, white sand, luxury, small boutique properties, just a wonderful place to end the trip and relax and spend time in the water. And then, of course, Stone Town and all the spice markets are here. So we will touch on those as well with our private guides. But you say goodbye to your ranger in Serengeti, fly to Zanzibar, meet our Zanzibar guide who will take you to Zanudu Villas. And we have the Kimwando Villa for you, which is so fun. You can see an aerial vision here for you. You have a private pool, you have your beautiful suite, you have access to the ocean, and everything is included from your meals to your drinks. And then we will include, of course, a private tour of Stone Town so you get a good sense of the town itself, which is a great history. And then 4 full days on Zanzibar, so you can relax, so you can go kayaking, so you can rest on the beach, explore, or just relax before October 26th, where we will have a late checkout included for you, so you can spend the day until your flight home. So your flights should be coming into Kilimanjaro, flying home from Zanzibar. If you book it on one ticket, it makes it a lot easier for your departure, so you don't have to change bags again at the airport. And that is your honeymoon, 17 days in Tanzania. I hope you like this presentation. I hope you have lots of questions for me. Thank you so much for taking the time to listening, and I look forward to chatting. Happy travels.